Buckingham Palace, a name synonymous with tradition, duty, and above all, the enduring image of the British monarchy. But behind those gilded gates, within the ancient walls that have witnessed centuries of royal triumphs and tribulations, a storm is brewing. A storm not of political upheaval, but of deeply personal betrayal, threatening to shake the very foundations of the Windsor dynasty. It begins, as so many scandals do, with a death. The passing of Dame Jilly Cooper, the celebrated novelist, a woman whose wit and charm captivated a nation, and whose close friendship with Queen Camilla was a poorly kept secret in royal circles. Her funeral, a somber affair held in the hallowed grounds of St. George's Chapel, Windsor, seemed a fitting tribute to a life well lived. The rain fell, a mournful curtain drawn across the sky, mirroring the grief etched on the faces of the mourners. Queen Camilla, her face veiled, her eyes red-rimmed, appeared a picture of raw emotion, a stark contrast to the composed, almost regal figure she usually presented to the world. But beneath the surface of public mourning, a secret lay buried, a secret so explosive it could shatter the carefully constructed image of the monarchy, a secret involving a missing heirloom, a clandestine letter, and a queen caught in a web of her own making. 2 days after the funeral, a seemingly innocuous errand set in motion a chain of events that would expose the truth. Queen Camilla, her voice unusually urgent, dispatched a young maid from Clarence House, a certain Eleanor, to Dame Jilly Cooper's Gloucestershire home. The task? To sort through the late author's belongings, to gather her manuscripts and mementos, ostensibly to create a fitting memorial. But there was an unspoken agenda, a desperate hope that a certain letter, a certain object, would be found before anyone else stumbled upon them. Eleanor, a loyal and discreet servant, arrived at the charming rose-covered cottage, a place that seemed to breathe the very essence of English countryside. The air was thick with the scent of old books and dried lavender, the ghosts of stories whispered and secrets kept. As Eleanor began her meticulous work, sifting through the writer's personal effects, she discovered a locked drawer in Dame Jilly's desk. Inside, hidden beneath a crack in the wood, lay a thick envelope, sealed with the unmistakable red wax of the royal crest. A crown intertwined with 2 C's, Camilla's emblem. What followed was a moment of profound temptation, a crossroads where duty and curiosity collided. Eleanor, a woman who had served the queen faithfully for years, knew that such a document was strictly confidential. It was never to leave the royal residence. It was a secret that had to be kept. But what was it doing here? In the home of a commoner? The weight of the royal seal, the aura of secrecy, proved too much to resist. With trembling hands, she broke the seal, revealing a handwritten letter and a small package wrapped in green velvet. Inside the velvet, nestled against the aged paper, was a jewel that would change everything. The Emerald of Windsor brooch, a legendary heirloom, a symbol of loyalty and honor passed down through generations of the royal family. A jewel last seen gracing the lapel of Queen Elizabeth II. A jewel believed to be safely locked away in the royal vault. A jewel that Queen Camilla had secretly entrusted to her friend, Dame Jilly Cooper. Why? The answer lay in the letter. The words penned in Camilla's own hand, a confession that would send shockwaves through the palace and beyond. The words leaped off the page, a desperate plea etched in elegant script. Dear Jilly, keep this for me. I dare not leave it in the palace. It could make me lose everything if discovered. Eleanor's breath hitched. The queen, fearing exposure, entrusting a national treasure to a commoner? It was unthinkable. But the following lines were even more damning. In Queen Elizabeth's private will, the brooch was not left to me. She left it to Anne, the one she trusted as the only worthy representative of Windsor's honor. I couldn't let that happen. If the public knew the brooch wasn't for the Queen Consort, they'd see me as a usurper. They'd say this throne is the result of an illegitimate affair, not rightful succession. I didn't steal it to keep for myself, but to protect the royal family's image, to spare Charles a crisis of fate. Please help help me hide it, Jilly. You're the only one I can trust." The audacity to claim she stole a symbol of royal succession not for personal gain but to protect the monarchy's reputation? Please. It reeked of self-preservation, a desperate attempt to cling to power, fueled by insecurity and a deep-seated fear of being exposed as an imposter. Eleanor's mind raced. This wasn't just a royal scandal, it was a full-blown crisis of legitimacy. If this letter were to surface, the repercussions would be catastrophic. The public would question Camilla's right to the throne, Charles's judgment, and the very foundation upon which their reign was built. Anne, the steadfast, dutiful princess royal, bypassed for a woman perceived by some as a homewrecker? The outrage would be deafening. Panic threatened to overwhelm Eleanor. She had stumbled upon a secret that could topple a kingdom, and she was just a maid. What was she supposed to do? Expose the queen and plunge the monarchy into chaos? Or bury the truth and become complicit in a cover-up? Her conscience warred with her loyalty. She had sworn an oath to serve the queen, but what about her duty to the country? What about the honor of the crown, which Camilla herself claimed to be protecting? With trembling hands, Eleanor carefully folded the letter, rewrapping the brooch in its velvet shroud. She had to get out of there. She wouldn't let anyone else see it. She would take the evidence back to Clarence's house, place it in the queen's room, and let her decide what to do. It was the only way. But as she dragged the heavy suitcase containing the damning evidence out of the study, a seed of doubt had already been planted. Could she truly trust the queen to do the right thing? Or would Camilla prioritize her own survival, bearing the truth and condemning the monarchy to a slow, agonizing decline? Unbeknownst to Eleanor, fate had already intervened. While she was wrestling with her conscience in Gloucestershire, King Charles was returning to Clarence's house, unaware that his world was about to be shattered. He entered Camilla's room drawn by an unfamiliar bag sitting on the table, a bag labeled Documents Dame JC. Curiosity overriding protocol, he opened it. The green velvet package, the emerald brooch, the letter sealed with the royal crest, the pieces of the puzzle fell into place with horrifying clarity. He read Camilla's confession, the words cutting deeper than any blade. The woman he loved, the woman he had defended against public scorn, had betrayed him, had betrayed the crown. The stage was set for a confrontation, a showdown between a king and a queen, between love and duty, between truth and deception. The storm that had been brewing behind the gilded gates of Buckingham Palace was about to break, unleashing a torrent of scandal that would forever alter the course of the Windsor dynasty. Charles stood rigid, the letter a crumpled testament to betrayal in his hand, each word heavy as lead. He uttered, the silence amplifying the accusation. Camilla rushed forward, her face a mask of desperation. "You've read it?" His eyes, once filled with affection, were now cold, distant. "Yes, and I don't know whether to be heartbroken or despise it. I only wanted to protect your honor, ours," she stammered, the carefully constructed facade of the Queen Consort crumbling before his gaze. If people knew the brooch was left to Anne, they would— "Honor isn't something you protect by hiding and betraying," Charles interrupted, slamming the letter onto the table. "It's what you preserve with truth." Tears welled in Camilla's eyes, a rare display of vulnerability. "I did it because I was afraid, Charles. Afraid I'd never be recognized. Afraid people would say I stole a position I don't deserve. Jilly just kept it for me." Her voice faltered. "She's dead," Charles stated, his voice ablade. "And in some way she took your secret to the grave, but unfortunately I found it." The air in the room turned glacial. Outside, the sun had set, casting long shadows that danced like phantoms. Charles fixed her with a gaze that pierced through years of shared history. "You've forced me to choose between love and honor, and I know the royal family doesn't survive on love." He turned and left, the door closing with a resounding thud, leaving Camilla alone in the gathering darkness, the emerald brooch casting an eerie green glow on the wall, like a festering wound. The library became Charles's sanctuary, a refuge from the turmoil that had engulfed his life. He placed the letter and the brooch on the table, the weight of his decision pressing down on him. He reached for the phone, his voice resolute. "Call Princess Anne and William too. Tell them I need to meet tonight, no delays." Anne arrived first, her face etched with concern. William followed, his usual composure replaced by a palpable sense of unease. Charles wasted no time. He presented the evidence, the letter, and the brooch, laying bare Camilla's deceit. Anne's reaction was swift and decisive. Good heavens, she took it from the treasure vault and wrote this? William, his disappointment evident, remained largely silent, his gaze fixed on the incriminating letter. Charles laid out the consequences. She says she did it to protect me, but all I see is betrayal. If the public knows the Queen Consort stole a royal treasure, I'll lose everything: trust, prestige, and our mother's honor. Anne met her brother's gaze. Charles, you know what to do. We can't keep her in the palace another day. Windsor's honor can't be covered by tears. William echoed her sentiment. We must be transparent. I'll prepare with the communications office. Father, you just need to make one thing clear. The royal family doesn't tolerate deceit. Charles nodded, the weight of his decision crushing him. All right, tomorrow morning I'll make the announcement. Camilla will have to leave the palace. No more title, no more privileges, and history will record that my reign ended a mistake. The fog hung heavy over London, shrouding Buckingham Palace in an eerie silence. The world awaited, unaware of the seismic event about to unfold. Charles stood before the mirror, steeling himself for the ordeal ahead. On the table, the Emerald of Windsor brooch gleamed ominously beside a copy of Camilla's letter. He addressed the assembled press, his voice resonating with a mixture of sorrow and determination. Today I convene this press conference not to discuss politics, but to defend the most sacred thing of the British royal family: honor and loyalty. He revealed the truth: the missing brooch, the secret letter, the Queen's betrayal. He announced his decision. Camilla Parker Bowles would cease all public duties, have her title of Queen Consort revoked, and leave the palace until further notice. The announcement sent shockwaves across the globe. A king had just banished his own queen, publicly dismantling his marriage for the sake of the crown. In Clarence's house, Camilla watched the broadcast, her world collapsing around her. When Charles uttered the words, "The betrayal by the one I trusted most," her teacup shattered, mirroring the destruction of her life. She stood, a solitary figure in the empty room, and walked out into the storm. The car sped through the gates of Buckingham Palace, disappearing into the fog, carrying a disgraced queen into exile.